Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful, high-level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help ignite that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge, and I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has developed Launchpad, which offers an opportunity for experienced executive coaches to become licensed circle directors. After completing the Launchpad program, you'll lead your own peer advisory circles, helping other CEOs and entrepreneurs excel in their professional and personal lives while providing a community of support, accountability, and challenge. If you'd like to learn more, go to quaidcircle.com. I am so pumped for our episode today. I get to hang out with Jerany Jackson. She's an executive coach with the Maxwell Leadership out of St. Louis, Missouri. Jerany, we've already talked offline about our shared love of Springfield, Missouri. So I can't wait to see what else we have in common.
Awesome. It's so nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to jump into it. You have had such a fascinating background, and especially with what you do today, you get exposure to so many different types of leaders and CEOs and executives. And you've seen some that are not that great and some that are excellent. If you could kind of narrow it down to a couple of things that separate the really good ones from the not so good ones, what would those be?
Well, I think it's always good to look at leadership from both perspectives, Mark. And I can tell you that many times what we see in leaders that may not be having success in their organizations, often have some things in common, right? I believe that sometimes they're making decisions from an ego-based perspective. No one really wants to talk about that, but the truth is they get in there and they see validation as, as something that's more important than the people and listening to the people. And I think what we get with an impact there is we get a reduced candor, from the folks that are working, and the strategic, from a strategic perspective, there are blind spots, and you're just unable at that point to to discover what you really need to do. The other side of that is operating from a stewardship perspective and really incorporating the people. At the end of the day, human resources are the most important resource that we have. I mean, every organization I think I've ever been involved with has always said, well, we want to make sure we have the right tools for our people. We want them to have the right equipment. We want them to have the right programs. And oh my goodness, now AI is in this mix. And so we've got to make sure that we've got AI incorporated just exactly right. People are not going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
AI is important. It's important to embrace technology. But at the end of the day, the only way we can be good stewards of our business is by elevating people to a level of importance and understanding what they bring and what they contribute. And the more we are able to put aside our ego, the more important, people become, and that stewardship, is elevated. Those decisions that are made at that point are protecting the institutional integrity, really, of the organization. So I like to talk about ego first
Yeah.
because people don't like to talk about ego first.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Well,
it's a sore spot, right?
yeah, no, Jeremy, I think you're dead on, and I agree with everything you just said. What's fascinating to me, and something that I know there are studies out there. I'm not a big academic guy, but uh, to launch your own company, to be an entrepreneur, to be a CEO, you have to have some level of ego, right? And how do you balance that, the part of it that gets you there to the part of it that makes you successful and has people help you follow you?
Well, let's go here. Um, I think that when you launch your own company, you're doing it for a number of reasons. Here I am sitting in this chair today,
Mhm.
with a new endeavor, an endeavor where I want to empower leaders with the right information, and I want to give them, I want to give them information so that they can begin to make decisions from, an informed platform. And so certainly you have to feel very sure about what you're doing.
Hmm.
And so I agree with you. Being sure, having a sure footing and being able to step out does involve some ego, but you probably could agree that you don't want to step out and do anything without feeling like you're actually going to deposit information
Hmm.
and leave a legacy. And so there's a difference between doing it for yourself and doing it for the good of the whole,
Yeah.
giving something back to people and in empowering them leaves a legacy that is well beyond who we are as individuals.
Yeah. Yes, that's really good. I think, sometimes it becomes semantics, right?
It does. Absolutely.
Ego in and of itself is not bad, right? Like
No,
it's
no,
the
no, no.
level that you display it, and that's exactly what you were just saying. And maybe it's more confidence that I was referencing versus
Okay.
ego, and they're all tied. But you're right. I think that then leads into your second point of that servanthood, that you have to put others first, or the thoughts of others, or at least be willing to serve and put them in a position where they can be successful for the whole to be successful as well, right?
Yes. Yes, that's right. That is right. Um, and at the same time, another one of those those leadership failures, if we can just call it what it is,
Sure.
right? Is is making assignments and micromanaging those assignments, right?
Hmm.
And the contrast to micromanagement is talent development. And having a talent development orientation means that you're delegating authority with accountability. You're
Hmm.
holding people accountable. You want them to succeed. You want them to do the task without everybody getting their fingers in there, right? And you're creating succession pathways when you do that. And those pathways mean that the investment actually gets to live beyond you. And I think when you make that investment, you're scaling your leadership capacity to some degree.
Yes, and I really like that, because I do think that gets lost, right? Like, some people, some leaders that have been around, you know, they love their team and they want to continue to put into their team and grow their team and teammates and all that good stuff. But at the same time, they also want to be a little bit selfish and keep them, right?
Or
And
yeah,
that's not always possible, right? Like, and I think they're the great leaders have that ability to understand that their real role is to help people achieve their own personal goals, and to know personal and professional goals, and to know that to do that they may have to leave your organization, and that's okay, right? Because there's only one CEO, there's only one CFO, there's only one whatever, whatever, whatever.
that's right.
And so to help them ultimately get to where they want to be, sometimes you've got to let them fly, right?
That is true. You know what you I mean it, we assign responsibility. And sometimes as leaders, responsibility gets assigned, and so much responsibility gets assigned without authority that you end up in this this balance that's not quite right. And
Mhm.
I think when people feel put upon, when people begin to feel like they're the only ones doing the job, or that the most important jobs always end up in their on their plate, and they have no ability to make final decisions, or they get vetoed when they take recommendations, to top leaders, of a company. It can be very frustrating, and we do see leaders leave for those reasons often. because they know they can do the job. It's not that they can't do the job, and they wanna grow. It's,
Hmm.
but they want the opportunity to be recognized for the job they're doing and to have the authority, not just the responsibility, but to have the authority as well. But they do leave, and they do grow, and it isn't all bad. I think there are times when folks genuinely um, can step away, and by the way, you can step away and still be friends.
Right.
You
Right.
can. I mean, I think there's this misconception that if you leave a position where you've been for a long time, that it must have been horrible. The relationship went awry somewhere. Something went terribly wrong, and that is often not the case at all. Sometimes it is just a difference in, how a person wants to grow and whether they want, I often say, I mean, I said this, when I left a long-term position not too terribly long ago, I gave myself a promotion. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I like the promotion that I gave myself,
Hmm.
and I'm good for it, and I still serve as a reference. I still answer those phone calls when my when people that I've worked with in the past, when they call, those connections are invaluable to me. I love the industry of design and engineering, and I want to continue to contribute, to the industry. I want to help the industry grow leaders. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's
Hmm.
one of the reasons that I left, was because I knew I could make an even bigger contribution helping those folks solve leadership issues and build better teams and have more influence, and they need to.
Yeah, that's amazing. Kudos to you for filling out your mission. That's really cool. And to your former organization for celebrating that and allowing, right? They're not going to hold you hostage, but supporting that and pushing you and taking it and helping you grow to where you wanted to be personally and professionally. That's, to me, that's a sign of a really strong leader and a really strong organization when they're celebrating those milestones and those new opportunities and so forth.
Right, right, absolutely.
All right, so how do you get people there? How if with the leaders that you're working with,
Mhm.
what's the pathway to get them to understand that you've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 main jobs, right? First is let's set vision.
Yep.
Second is let's communicate that vision and get people to understand where they're going and how they're going to get there, and
Mhm,
then what their role is in how to get there, and
mhm,
then the last one, or one of the fewer last ones, is we're going to provide you with the tools and resources to grow and personally and professionally. How do you get that? How do you help leaders understand that? Because that's not necessarily natural.
no, it's not. I'm gonna tell you, I've just completed my certifications for speaking, coaching, teaching, training, and facilitation. And the hardest of all of those, I've been a speaker a long time. I've been on the stage a lot. In fact, some people say, don't give her a microphone, she'll never give it back. And that's true. I love a
Uh-huh.
microphone, but the hardest thing, the most the you know, the yes, it is, it was. The hardest thing for me to learn was coaching,
Hmm.
because coaching requires, not that I'm not a good listener, I'm a good listener, but I've been a problem solver for over 30 years. And when someone brings you a problem, you inventory that problem and you analyze that problem and you find solutions, right?
Hmm.
And we think sometimes in leadership development that that's the process that we should follow. At the end of the day, good coaching is what's necessary, and coaching requires a person to ask the right questions and allow the person that you're working with to discover or land on solutions by the questions that you're asking. You're allowing them to land on solutions, and then you're encouraging solutions to come forward, not preconceived solutions that and I'm speaking about myself,
Right.
that I might have, not, "Ooh, I jumped ahead." It's wait, and let's go through this process. So it's process driven, it's listening, it's allowing, a leader to truly put out on the table, put the puzzle out, sort the pieces, and start pushing things together and allow those things to come together in a different way. It isn't that folks don't know the things, Mark, that we know as leadership development experts, right? It
Mhm.
isn't that we don't know that. It isn't that they don't know that. It's that they've lived and worked a certain way for such a long time that they've simply pushed away some of the solutions. And I will say this, I think people wake up in the middle of the night a lot. And you know what they wake up with? They know. They know they should be considering something else.
Mhm.
They know that they have an issue, they have a problem to be solved, and they've been pushing away the solution, and when they wake up in the middle of the night, bam, there it is, and they go, "No, I just can't do that, I just can't do that. I can't develop my people, I can't invest like that, because if I invest like that, I mean, that's a lot." Or we might have to recraft or reposition ourselves so that we change a process. And we've been doing this process for 25 years and it's worked okay. Why do I have to change the process now? Because you've hit a flat line, because you're on a table, you're on a plateau, and you have to change something in order, to continue to grow. But they're scared. People get
Yep.
scared in leadership. Um, I think sometimes we look at companies and we think, my gosh, they've been successful forever. I mean, they just have the right formula. Most likely, they've been changing the formula on a regular basis in order to stay relevant, because relevance requires us to evolve. And evolution isn't evolve for a little while, it's evolve, it's revisiting, it's having a strategic plan for the organization and having that plan in place and reviewing the plan. And not just read the plan, open the plan, look at the plan, looking at the metrics. What is going
Mhm.
on, in the company? Are sales continuing to grow? Are we, are we meeting the needs? You know, are we going over budget? Are we leaving our clients, on the outside? Are we meeting all the client needs? What do our clients have to say about us? Ooh, people don't like to ask that question sometimes, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes clients say, well, I used to feel like I was in the loop. I used to feel like you kept me up to date, but lately, not so much. What's changed? If you don't look at what's changed, you won't know, what's missing, right?
That's so good. That's so good. Jeremy, this has been a blast. Let me ask you one last question. If you take a look back to 21-year-old Jeremy, what is one thing that you wish she knew that you've learned since that time?
I mean, just being honest,
Yeah.
I I wish 21-year-old Jeremy knew, how far she could go,
Hmm.
honestly. I think 21-year-old Jeremy did not have a lot of confidence and maybe felt a little bit limited. And, I maybe by the time I was 30, I got that figured out. But yeah, 21-year-old Jeremy needed to be shored up a little bit more. She needed to know there's a big world out there and baby, we're gonna conquer the whole
I love
thing.
it. I love it. That's amazing. Hey, thank you. One last thing. Would you share with people what a typical engagement looks like with you? And most importantly, how can they get a hold of you?
Awesome. So the best way to get a hold of me probably is through my LinkedIn profile, and it's my first and last name, easy to find. There's one Jerany Jackson out there, and that's me. Um, Typical engagement, on the coaching side, sessions that range from 30 minutes to an hour with usually once a week until we feel like we've gotten to where we need to be. I love workshops. I like working with leadership groups. I like to facilitate those kind of meetings because you can get more accomplished. I also am certified to administer DISC assessments, and I am finding those to be invaluable in my work right now. And then finally, do you want to get your people pumped up? Because I'm the girl for you. I want to be on stage. Give me that microphone, and I'm going to give you good things to think about, and give everybody, in the audience good things to think about. So if you need a keynote, I'm here available for you as well.
That's your high I coming out, isn't it?
Woo! Yes. Oh my gosh.
See,
You
I
know
know,
me
I
well.
know. I pay attention. I know this stuff. Jerany, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Mark. I really appreciate being here. I have loved every moment of it.
Y'all, we have done it again. We found another amazing human to share insights and wisdom and nuggets of good stuff with us. So appreciative of Jerany joining us and hanging out for a little bit. As we wrap up, I want to remind you that Igniting the CEO Within is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has created Launchpad, which provides an opportunity for experienced executive coaches to become licensed circle directors and significantly impact the lives of CEOs and entrepreneurs. To find out more, visit quaidcircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.